I really want to assure you that what we are doing is new, is novel. This is the first time you can think of a platform that allows anybody in any industry, any sector to invest in healthcare. And I tell you, this is one vision to look out for in the nearest future.
And from what I was able to get from here, you could see that there's a lot of monitoring mechanisms in place from the initial phase of the project to the phase when it actually ends or the life cycle.
But this is the first time I'm actually seeing an end-to-end plan for people to come into the health sector, not just to develop it for the public, but also to gain something in return. So it's like a two-way thing.
Everybody. Vested gives everybody the platform and the opportunity to get involved in saving lives in healthcare. It's the first of its kind. My name is Rejoice Chamaka Azodu. I'm the founder and CEO of Vested Partners Limited. I've worked in healthcare for about a decade now, and I tell you for a fact that the most important issue that must be addressed is the issue of underfunding. Because you find a lot of hospitals with very good potential, but the challenge is usually the funding. They need to scale and reach their full potential. So what we do in Vestitude, we address this funding gap by connecting private sector investors with hospital opportunities. So why Vestitude and why now? The truth is, this conversation can no longer wait. It is really urgent. I want to give you an example. We just funded a hospital project, and the hospital, the dialysis center was named after a patient that died. Why? There was a lot of hassle with getting dialysis services. And because the hospital where he was a patient in or with couldn't afford to set up a dialysis center and all that, in the process of the hassle, they lost him. So you see that every day people die just because the access to quality healthcare is limited. So in Vestitude, we are truly addressing this funding gap. The impact is endless. It's like empowering hospitals to reach their full potential. Because you see a lot of hospitals that are doing really well, but they don't have the right support to offer quality healthcare service. And if you notice, I keep emphasizing on quality healthcare services, not just healthcare. And also because healthcare is hugely dependent on medical equipment, especially diagnostic equipment. So if they don't have access to this equipment, that means doctors at some point might be forced to treat without the right diagnostic information. So it is imperative. It is a conversation that can no longer wait. Now, the truth is, sometimes what makes healthcare expensive is when hospitals go out of their way to raise funds to purchase this medical equipment. They are so stretched and they are pressured to return on investment. They are in a lot of pressure, and you see treatment cost goes up because they are really trying to recover cost. But imagine a hospital sits and we come and set up everything from start to finish and he doesn't pay. Of course, the repayment is over a period of time, but he's not under any pressure. So there is really no excuse or no reason for that cost to go up. Because a huge part of why treatment cost goes up is because medical equipment, they don't come cheap. And so hospitals are usually under pressure to recover or recoup their investments. But when they are not under pressure, it is a very huge step towards affordable healthcare. So yes, it actually is affordable. Okay, so the truth is we are partnering with the federal government. We are doing this because we know that the government cannot do it all alone. So our conversation today is not necessarily about how the federal government can come in, but how we can partner more with the government. We're trying to relieve them this body. Of course, they have their role to play, but we don't want everything to be on the federal government. And one mindset we have in Vestitude is we don't sit down and discuss problems. We want to be part of the solution. So we are playing a very active role in addressing this funding gap. We're not really interested in sitting down and waiting for what will government do differently. We are driving the solution. So I feel like we are co-partners, we are co-laborers in this. So I'm really not so interested in, of course, good policies are very important. Like you said, there could be concessions with taxations and all that. Yes, good policies, of course. But beyond that, we are playing an active role as co-partners with the federal government to ensure that quality healthcare is both affordable and accessible to every Nigerian. So first of all, I want to say what we are doing in Vestitude is the first of its kind in Nigeria. It is novel, but it's not just novel, it works. It's a solution that works. We have a lot of testimonials from hospitals. Sometimes it feels like a miracle that they have been struggling to do a particular project and suddenly somebody funds the project from start to finish. So what do I want to say to the investors? The same way you invest in your stocks, in your bonds, you can still reserve part of that investment and work together with hospitals. Now, the unique thing about investing in hospitals is that you reap double returns. You're not just about the financial benefit. Of course, it's not charity, so there will be returns on investment, but you are playing a huge role in saving lives, in making a difference. You are putting your money where it really works and where it really counts. And the truth is, we can all sit down and talk about everything that is going wrong, and problems would always be there. Or we can play a very active role in driving the solution. So I want to tell everybody, Vestitude gives everybody the platform and the opportunity to get involved in saving lives in healthcare. It's the first of its kind. For the first time in Nigeria, whether you're a doctor or a nurse, even as you work in Plus TV, you can be a co-partner or you can be a partner in hospital projects in saving lives. So this is for everybody. It's for every Nigerian. That's why we're very intentional about today's summit. We're bringing people from different sectors. We want to have conversations on how we can sit down and liberate capital that will truly make a difference in the healthcare sector.
My name is Ladipo Kehinde Bolade. I'm a legal practitioner. I've been doing that for about 10 years now. Thank you very much for having me. I can tell you for free that investment in the health sector is not deep enough as against its counterparts like oil and gas, like real estate, like energy. I have a bit of experience and I've played in the sun, and I can tell you that there is a lot more money funneled into those aspects of the economy than the health. Maybe because naturally we see health not as a business but as charity. But over time I've come to realize, I've been working with Vestitude for a while, I've come to realize, okay, this is actually an interesting investment opportunity. The reason is because where there is high risk, there's also the opportunity for high reward. This is why. Because we don't have enough health infrastructure, because we don't have enough health facilities, it means that you can do, depending on what aspect you want to come in, you can do a build investment, you can finance equipment, you can finance services, you can do health service provision, which is not novel because they've been doing it in places like Dubai and the US for ages, which naturally means that a lot of people have to travel out of the country to get access to these top-notch cutting-edge health solutions. So the opportunity being presented by Vestitude here is to tell people, can we stop looking at health as charity and more as a business? It can pay you back. It will pay you back. Risks and rewards. Now, some businesses are low risk and rewards. Some businesses, most high rewarding investment opportunities are actually high risk and reward. And this is where the healthcare investment cuts the gap. because it's a service, I can tell you for free, health equipment. I said equipment, not tools. Equipment are heavy. They're heavy duty. They are designed to serve longer. So if you were to finance an equipment now, or you were to joint venture an equipment, you have a 10, 20, 30 year use period. It's before it becomes obsolete. If you go to our hospitals in Nigeria today, you find out a lot of second-hand imported equipment that we still use. So that tells you that if you get a new one, you'll get a longer time to squeeze out not just your investment now, but then over time you've recouped your investment, you've started reaping benefits and interests on those investments. So depending on how you want to approach it, like I mentioned earlier, you can decide to partner with people, you can decide to partner with, there are a lot of opportunities. The good thing is that Vertitude is uniquely placed to not just help you, but advise you on the best route to take, depending on your person, your entity, a lot of factors that will go into sitting down and saying, okay, we advise you go this route, we advise you do this, we advise you that. That will depend on your person, your availability of funds, how quickly you want to get your money back, and a couple of other factors. Thank you very much.
If there's any sector where innovation should come in as fast as possible, I think it's healthcare. And for me, I would advocate, if we have nurses or doctors or people who can influence policy here, please, if we can make children stop taking bitter pills, if we can bring that innovation that the drugs are all sweet, I'm an advocate. All right, welcome. So we're going to dive right into the agenda. I want to assure us that we are going to get the event hot and running, and by that I mean we're going to focus on a very important part of the event. Limited was vetted on the vision and on the grounds that we were looking for a way to drive change in the healthcare sector. It's a cross-functional board of people who have had experiences in public health. By public health, I mean public health, as public as it can be. We've also had people who have worked in different sectors such as investment, financing, just a mix of different things, and they've been able to find out gaps. And one of the gaps we found was how underfunded the healthcare sector is. When I was in, I think, junior secondary school, we would write essays. Those of us that felt were intelligent then. We would write essays, and one of the things they would tell us to write is about areas that were underfunded and how the United Nations can come in and etc. I would write all those things, but it meant nothing to me. But today, it's come to life because I have been a partaker. I've been a recipient of healthcare, both public and private. And I can say that so much more can be done. It's a health investment advisory company. We tailor advice to you according to your investment interests. First of all, we're the lead champion. I would say we're leading, pioneering it, and we're saying, come into healthcare, come and look at what's going on here. We're exposing it to you. This is not like real estate where you're shown beautiful pictures of houses, and when you go there, it's just land and grass that is high. We're showing you this is the decay in this sector. This is what can be done. This is how we move from A to A. Another thing we do is project management. By the grace of God, my name is Anne Ezibe. I'm a trained lawyer over 8 years, post-call. I also happen to be privileged to pursue my passion of being a project manager. And I will tell you that this has been one of my most exciting experiences in project management. When I came into healthcare, one of the things I said to my boss was, do you think I can do this? I was like, do you think I can do this? Or why do you think I can do this? And she was like, oh, don't worry, it's not a big deal. And I can say that it's been exciting, it's been interesting, the social impact, the lives that are changed, the information that is not out there that I am gaining access to, the fact that this is a billion dollar industry and very few people know about it. I find it a privilege that I have access to this industry and I have access to healthcare project management, good health facilities. We help you manage your health-related projects. We also handle business advisory. So you have a health facility or a health business, and you are not optimizing in terms of scaling up, in terms of what you expect, in terms of revenue. One of the things we do is we look into your business and find out what is wrong. Because the due diligence, both business-wise, financially, and so we can say that we know what to say in terms of diagnosing your business. So yes, we handle business advisory for healthcare businesses. We also handle project management tailored to healthcare businesses, and this includes from the start, from facility management, facility planning, from the scratch. You don't set up a hospital just about any place. For example, a dialysis clinic, you can't set it up in a crowded commercial area because of the nature of the treatment. A regular doctor might not know this, but a healthcare expert, which is what Vestitude is, will be able to tailor those peculiarities depending on what you are handling. There are also the types of hospitals that should be in those kind of locations for the sake of marketing, physical visibility. So these are unique features of partnering with Vestitude in building your hospital. I trust that before we leave this place, a number of people will say, I want to own a dialysis clinic, I want to own a fertility clinic, I want to own a multi-specialist clinic, because why are we here? We want to make you owners of a social impact vehicle that is going to keep your pockets able to continue to invest in other sectors. And for this purpose, I think we should get to know the voice behind the brand Vestitude Limited.
When healthcare infrastructure meets visionary leadership, transformation happens at scale. Rejoice. Chiamaka Azodo represents the rare combination of proven execution capability, deep technical expertise, and the strategic vision required to unlock Africa's $35 billion healthcare investment opportunity. She is an emerging voice in Africa's healthcare landscape. She brings about a decade of experience in transforming healthcare systems through capital mobilization, hospital infrastructure development, and innovative financing solutions. She is the founder and CEO of Vestitude Partners Limited, a healthcare investment, advisory, and project management company. Under her leadership, Vestitude has delivered impactful projects like the setup of a multi-specialty hospital in Lekki Phase 1 and a dialysis center in Port Harcourt. High Flyer Rejoice, as she is fondly called, began her remarkable career journey at Save a Life Mission Hospital in Port Harcourt, where she served as a customer service representative in the patient care unit. This formative experience provided her with rich insight into hospital operations and patient management, laying a strong foundation for her future leadership in the healthcare industry. Since then, she has worked in different roles and sectors as a business development manager at Sim Capital and Advisory Limited, Blue Energy Group, and then at MedPower International Limited, where she rose to the position of Managing Director and Global CEO. Rejoice led the regional expansion of the company's customer base to over 120 hospitals across 26 states in Nigeria and 6 other African countries, including Ghana, Liberia, Ethiopia, Malawi, Togo, and Benin Republic. She has played strategic, consultancy, and operational roles in the development of over 60 healthcare projects and the establishment of hospitals and dialysis centers. Some of the notable private and public hospitals she has worked with include the University of Port Harcourt Teaching Hospital, Edo Specialis Hospital Benin, Meridian Hospital Port Harcourt, Fidelity Medical Center Monrovia, Liberia, Spintex Medical Center Accra, Hills of Hope Hospital Monrovia, Liberia, Jews of Hope Hospital Owerri, BMC Medical Center Enugu, Unique Kidney Care Plateau, JOS, Kidney Care FCT Abuja, Usman Danfodio Teaching Hospital Sokoto, Hospital Management Board Castina, to mention but a few. This demonstrates our ability to navigate the complexities of both public and private sectors to achieve set goals and build meaningful relationships. Her exceptional leadership and remarkable contributions to the healthcare industry in Nigeria have earned her many awards and recognition. Notable among them are Landmark Africa Leadership Award, 2023, Landmark Africa Hall of Fame, inductee, 2023, Guardian Woman, 2023, Achiever, Per Excellence Award from the Nigerian Youth League, 2023, Exclusive Roundtable, Women in Healthcare by Informal Markets, the organizers of Medic West Africa, 2023, Excellent Collaborator, Hermont Surgical, India, 50 Persons of the Year, Young Entrepreneur International Summit, 2024, Second Runner-Up, Toastmasters, International Speech Contest, 2019, Den Award, School of Health Technology, 2015. These accolades are a testament not just to her personal achievements, but also serve as market's validation of her ability to deliver transformative results that create lasting value. Highflyer Rejoice's academic background is as impressive as her professional achievements. She graduated as the best student in public health technology with first-class honors, received the Dean's Award as the overall best graduating student in the School of Health Technology from the Federal University of Technology, Owerri, and won other awards such as Best Student Excellent Generation for 4 consecutive years. She has obtained professional certificates including Innovating in Healthcare from Harvard Business School, as well as completed professional courses in social entrepreneurship, development financing, financial modeling, health economics, etc. She is currently pursuing a master's degree in economic development and policy analysis at James Hope Business School, and is conducting a study on the role of private financing in healthcare outcomes. She has pioneered, partnered, or volunteered in various nonprofit initiatives such as the MedPal Graduate Trainee Program, Pad Her Up Initiatives, High Flyers Club, United Nations SDG Group, Yali Network, and WISCA, Women in Successful Careers. She is passionate about women's empowerment and development financing. She loves planning, watching movies, and having cerebral conversations with like-minded individuals for fun. Rejoice comes from a family of scholars. She hails from Ankwere in Imo State, is the last of 4 children, and comes from a family of scholars. She is an ardent lover of God and says her favorite book is the Bible. Now, let us welcome the high flyer herself, Rejoice Chiamaka Azodo.
Everyone, good evening. Thank you very much, everybody. I personally want to welcome each and every one of us for making our time to honor this our exclusive event. Say a very big thank you. I know a lot of us have like really tight schedules, but we took out time to be here with us on this premier launch of our products and what we do in Vestil Partners Limited. I want to thank you, Professor Eric, all the way from James Hope Business School. Professor Eric is a lawyer. He's a risk management professional. His profile is a lot. I think he has published over 40 books. I am scared. Just masters, I'm already overworked. How much more when I start with my PhD? So he's one of the people I look up to in the academic world. I want to say a very big thank you to Mr. Chooks for taking our time to come. Thank you so much. Big thank you to Mr. Chike, to Mr. Nche, to Mr. Chidozie, Mr. Kelechi, Barrister Ken. Hello, Barrister Ken. Thank you so much for coming. And I'm really excited. I'm very happy to see each and every one of us today. So before I start with my slide, I just want to share a very side story. One day, someone asked me, why investment, why financing? And I told the person that Vestitude is actually not my first financing company. So when I was 13, I founded this company inside my house. And my customers were my mom and my elder sister. Anne said something. She said, Rejoice knows how to spot opportunities. Believe that thing about me. So then there wasn't POS. If you needed cash, you have to go to the ATM. And my mom always needs cash. She never seemed to have enough cash. And I was like, this would be a very good business. So I started stocking cash in my house. If she needs 2,000, the interest rate is 50%. And she was screaming, how can you give someone 50,000 and take 1,000? I started my lending business at 13. By the time I got to 14 years, I had enough money to buy a camera phone. My first, nobody bought it for me, with only 2 customers. So just think of what we can do with 200 customers, 2,000 customers, or what we can possibly do when the whole country, Nigeria or Africa, is in our grasp. So I really want to assure you that what we are doing is new, is novel. This is the first time you can think of a platform that allows anybody in any industry, any sector, to invest in healthcare. And I tell you, this is one vision to look out for in the nearest future. Thank you so much. So Vestitude, what do we really do in Vestitude Partners Limited? So we're a health investment advisory company, and we're also a health project management company. And what stands out for us is that our business model provides end-to-end platform to invest in healthcare. And I want to explain how this works. So there are some businesses that offer financing services. So when they finance your service, you have to go elsewhere to get your product. But Investitude is like an end-to-end solution for us. We start with you from the beginning, and we drive you right to the end of it all. So we offer 4 major core services: health project management, health investing, financing, and asset management. Our business offers end-to-end solution. And probably I might wait a bit before I explain what that means. But at the core of what we do is we connect investors with healthcare opportunities. And so it allows anybody from any sector to invest in healthcare. Prior to this point, healthcare has always been about healthcare professionals. A doctor finishes school and goes ahead to set up a hospital, or a hospital wants to expand to a different service. This is the first time where you have the opportunity as someone that is outside of the healthcare to jump into this boat and get involved in not just financing healthcare projects that saves lives, of course, for very, very competitive returns on investment. And the reason why we have this summit today is we want to really look at how this business works. Has it worked before? Will it possibly work? These are some of the questions I know that are in a lot of people's minds, and we are here today to answer those questions. So we foster capital and collaboration across multiple sectors. And I explained what sets us apart is our end-to-end business model, because it manages the full project life cycle, from sourcing investment from investors to financing hospital projects. And we personally handle those projects ourselves. So this is why we are very different from a commercial bank. Because if a hospital goes to a commercial bank releases funds for that particular project. But you know there's a lot of mismanagement of funds. Sometimes hospitals reallocate those funds to other things that doesn't yield that particular return it's supposed to. So we are the project managers. Prior to now, for close to a decade, I have done hospital project management. I've managed projects across different countries. I've managed projects in Liberia, in Ghana, Malawi, like a whole lot of them. So this is why we are unique. And that is one of the things that should give our investors the confidence they are looking for. Because you know that this fund is not going to be allocated to something else. We will use those funds and set up the hospital. So what we do is, at the end of the day, we hand over the keys to the clinic. So whatever it is they need, we take care of it, and then we hand over the keys. And then, how else do we provide end-to-end solutions? At the end of the day, unlike commercial banks or regular financing institutions, there is no closed monitoring system. We are your asset managers. We ensure that hospitals are returning on this investment. There are even business models that allow that There are even business models where hospitals hands off from the whole project. We manage it and then we return or we remit to the hospital. There are situations where hospitals go ahead and manage their project and we return to our investors. There are situations where we are the full managers of the project. So the hospital doesn't have control over this investment. And the reason why we are being very, very intentional is that a huge aspect of our success story is the sustainability of our projects. Because if we're able to return on one investment, you were encouraged to reinvest on other projects. Afterwards, I'm even going to go ahead to make some really interesting comparisons about what we do and what other people do out there and what makes us different. Catalyze change in transforming healthcare delivery. The reason why we are all seated here is because we sat down and we reimagined how healthcare can be delivered. How healthcare is being financed. We're not going through the traditional channels. We're bringing up disruptive inventions that for the first time, you can sit down across any sector. For the first time, people from oil and gas, from real estate, from the academia can sit in one room and have a conversation about health financing. So we are reimagining healthcare delivery, financing, and how everything about healthcare is being done in Africa. Sector investment and mobilize smart funding to optimize healthcare operations and technology in Africa, enabling the delivery of services that meet global standards. Somebody from Plus TV Africa asked me a very interesting question. He said, okay, what is the role of the government in what we are doing? And I smiled. It's very easy for all of us to sit down here and talk about 10,001 things that are going wrong in the health sector in Nigeria. Now, we are not thinking about what really is the government doing. We are taking active part on solving these problems. We're on the driver's seat. We are driving private sector investment. We want to be co-laborers, want to be partners with the government in strengthening the healthcare system. Because whether you know it or not, every day people die because of the state of our healthcare system. We recently completed a project in Port Harcourt, and that dialysis center was named after a patient that died. Now, I met this man about 2 years ago. He said he wanted to expand into dialysis services because he seemed to have a lot of patients. And for each time you go to the public hospitals, it's either they have traffic or the equipment is down. So it's crazy. Some public hospitals, you need to go and buy petrol. They'll put it inside the generator, power it to conduct dialysis. I'm telling you, it is crazy. Some public hospitals, you need to go elsewhere and source the consumables or the things you need for the dialysis treatment. Then you come back for them to offer you dialysis services. So imagine how many people die carelessly every day. And so for 2 years, he kept trying to get loan. It was just a lot of hassle until we partnered with him on this project. So sometimes hospitals look at us like miracle workers because it's like you come out and you do what feels really impossible to them. And the beautiful part of this whole thing is, it's not just about we are saving lives, you are also returning on your investment. So you actually have double returns when you invest in healthcare. Because when you invest in stocks, you're just investing in stocks. Yes, you reap your financial rewards when you invest in bonds or any other project. When you invest in healthcare, you're not just reaping financial rewards, you are reaping the satisfaction of knowing that one more life was saved just because you put your extra cash into a hospital project. Our core values, a huge part of what we do is performance, deliver on our words. A huge part of what we do is trust. We understand that trust is very, very important in our projects. Is hugely as a result of trust. Of course, the fact that you trusted us and you chose us in the midst of all the other options at the table is something we do not take lightly. But the extent we are willing to go to make sure that we keep this trust. Innovation is a major driver of what we do in Vestitude. And the last core value is care, placed all over the office. These are actually values that are the founding bedrocks of our business. And these are values that we imbibe every day of our lives and every time we come to work. So how did we start? Our story really came from a personal experience. During my time of handling healthcare projects, traveling, of course, I've interfaced with a lot of hospitals, I would say over 120 from different countries. And one I always realized was a common theme, a common denominator for this hospital was always the struggle to get funding. Now you find, of course, not all hospitals, but there are really hospitals with very good potential to scale. They have very good patient traffic. You look at their business model, they are really doing so much with the little they have. And I sat down and asked myself, how do we solve this financing problem? Isn't there something we can do that out of the traditional financing channels that we always see every day? Something that benefits both the hospital and the investor started. The first time I started, it wasn't called a financing company. What I did was, first of all, I started getting partnerships with OEMs outside the country to find ways we can reduce cost of medical equipment plan. So a hospital is able to pay for a year as against paying upfront, which usually is the standard practice when you carry. And this worked for a really good period of time. And I was like, can't we transition into something even more interesting where both parties benefit? Because sometimes for the OEM to give payment plan or reduce their interest rate, it's probably a way of reducing their. And it was just something I was doing on my own. But I saw it working. The feedback I always get from the hospitals was always amazing. And a lot of hospitals I've worked with in this particular way. Sometimes they see me when we meet in conferences, they hug me, they're like, rejoice, God sent you. Like it looks like a miracle. But the beautiful part of this miracle now is that anybody can actually be a big part of this because we have expanded the scope of our services and what we truly do invest. Projects that we just completed a multi-specialist clinic in Lekki Phase 1. It had a dialysis center. It had an operating theater. This is a tier 1 operating theater. And it will interest you to know that this project was funded by the CEO of one of the fintech companies. Please, can you go back to the previous slide? It was funded by a CEO of a fintech company who had nothing to do with healthcare. So this is called a tier 1 theater. The picture might not allow you to appreciate it, but this theater is not like the regular theater you find in teaching hospitals. It has what we call mobile CM. Mobile CM is able to take real-life image of what is going on when a surgery is being performed. So if they are carrying out very complicated surgeries like brain surgeries or heart surgeries, where real-life image and high level of precision is needed, you will need a mobile CM. So the way it works is the mobile CM has monitors, very large monitors, is able to project what is going on. So real time, the doctor is seeing what is going on and how the patient is responding to the surgery. So this is an awesome innovation, and it's not in every kind of hospital you would see, because of course, only to do the theater took a whole lot of money. So when you go to a lot of hospitals, sometimes it looks like the quality of healthcare we offer in Nigeria is not up to global standards, because healthcare is hugely dependent on medical equipment, and these medical equipments don't come cheap. But when we're able to sit down and have conversations and we're able to drive capital, then we're going to see how miracles happen, and everybody here can be a huge part of these miracles, as these doctors, we call it. So this is a chemotherapy suite. So they'll be able to handle cancer patients. And how it works, it has an infusion pump, it has a syringe pump. So you don't need to administer drugs in the regular way. It just comes through the syringe pump and the infusion pump. Infusion is for feeding, and the syringe pump is to enable them administer drugs. So while somebody is on chemo, they can just be administering the drugs. So this is a delivery room. This is, okay. So this is a delivery room. This is, what is up is what we call a CGC monitor. So when a woman is in labor, it goes around her and is used to track the progress of labor. So if a baby is, sometimes labor prolongs and it takes really a long time. So you're able to track what is going on. You're even able to detect the fetal heartbeat. So if there's an issue with the baby, real time, before it gets into a complicated state, the doctors are able to intervene. So that's what happens in the delivery room. So this is an emergency clinic. I think we all understand what happens in an emergency clinic. So this is This is a private dialysis room for VIP that need privacy during dialysis treatment. This is an ambulance. Okay, this is a water treatment system. Plumbing work. So this is actually what a dialysis machine looks like. I would probably play a video or probably explain and save you time on how it works. So it will interest you to know that we all have two kidneys that are really functioning, and you won't understand what is going on. When you can eat, use the restroom, you sleep, and you wake up. Now, kidney disease patients, their kidneys have collapsed, and they are unable to perform this function. So every day of their lives, or 2 times a week, every week of their life, they must sit in this machine for 4 hours for their blood to be cleansed. If they don't do this for 1-2 weeks, the person is gone. So, except the person is able to get a donor and do kidney transplant. It's actually interesting. And so the thing about kidney disease is it's like it affects every aspect of the person's life. Because think of someone that has a 9-to-5 job and you need to do 4 hours of dialysis. So at least minimum 2 times a week. Ideally, it should even be up to 3 times a week. But it's because of economic factors that people reduce it to 2 times a week. And now, kidney disease is a very expensive expensive disease. A section of dialysis in a public hospital, I'm not saying private, costs about 55,000. And so multiply it by 2, because the person has to go through dialysis minimum twice a week. That gives you 110,000, 40,000. Now, they have to see a consultant once a week, which is about 20,000 times 8. So let's take it to the 440,000. That's about 520. They need to buy drugs every week. They need to do blood transfusion, sometimes once a month. It's about 30K per blood transfusion. They need to buy erythropoietin and iron sucrose. So put it all together, it's about 600K per month. How many people actually earn 600K per month in Nigeria in their 9-to-5 jobs? So it is very, very serious. And that's also a way to send a message across to everybody here to be very careful with your kidneys. Go back home and have a rethink. Probably the reason why you came to this summit is to hear about your kidney. I remember one time I was in this program, and of course I always make it compulsory when people come to any of my summits to ensure they check their vital signs. Just a side story. So this man wasn't part of what we're doing. He just came in with his wife. Before he left, we insisted he does his vital signs. And we discovered that his blood pressure was 286. His blood sugar was about 170 something. This man, within 1 week, would have slept and won't wake up, or he will be moving and he will collapse and die. And people will say it's village people. Why? A lot of Nigerians, we are more conscious about curative care. But prevention is not just better than cure, it is cheaper than cure. To do your kidney tests, I think we have a test kit that does kidney function tests. You check it, it probably costs you maybe 10K or 15K. And you think that, I don't need it. You really need it. Everybody needs it. Because healthcare is extremely expensive, and you don't want to joke with yours. So if you've not checked your vital signs, please make sure you check your vital signs before you leave here. If you've not checked your kidney, make sure you do before you leave here. So we can all sit down and have conversations on how to fund dialysis centers. Not sit down and have conversation on what next after being diagnosed with kidney disease. And this is the rest of the project. So, of course, these are some of the hospitals I've worked. So we have some investment opportunities where anybody can participate. I think I've said a whole lot. First question is, why invest in dialysis? I feel like the answer is very simple. We have a ready market already. We have a project in one of the states in Southeast. People actually travel from that state to the next state to be able to do dialysis. So that tells you that the market is there. And the interesting thing about this, investing in a healthcare project is, or in dialysis is, if you get one patient, the person is your patient for life. It's not like malaria and typhoid where the person gets well and goes back home. So the person keeps coming to the dialysis center every week until the end, because it's really difficult to find a match in terms of your donor. And even if you do, kidney transplant used to be about 13 million like 2-3 years ago. Now it's about 23 million for kidney transplant. And even after transplant, sometimes people's kidneys still fail. I've had a personal experience. One of our clients, she was one of the managers in Polaris Bank. She did kidney transplant and she was fine for about 4 or 5 years. We don't know what happened. One day she calls us on the phone to say her kidneys had failed. So she was to go back for another transplant. Where will she find a second donor? That's the question. And even when you find donors, sometimes there are issues with compatibility. Because the body treats it like a foreign body. Sometimes they have to be on drugs for the longest time to be able to suppress the immunity or the immune system that is fighting the new organ. So it's just so complicated. So the thing about dialysis is, once you have a patient, the person is your patient for the longest time. And some people have been on dialysis for over 20 years. So it's an interesting and ready market. I've already talked about the unmet gap in dialysis. And interestingly, chronic kidney disease has been one of the major issues of public health concerns. People are being diagnosed every day with kidney disease. So this is an interesting, and there's a huge gap, of course, in this. I've already spoken about lack of funding. So the lack of funding also tells you that your funds has ready markets or off-takers for the dialysis service. So what is our solution? Very simple. We offer 2 solutions to solve this problem. Investment solution. So the interesting part, or the interesting thing about what we do in Vestitude is both an investment solution and a healthcare solution. An opportunity for investors to fund a healthcare project for very interesting returns on investment that will blow your mind. This is an opportunity you would never believe in this life exists in Nigeria. The same Nigeria where people are, doing Java because of lack of, we are solving very serious problem in Nigeria. We are strengthening the healthcare system. So it's double return of the few investments. I tell you on authority, that gives you not just financial returns. The way the business model works is, of course, it depends on how far you want to go, or how much or how involved you want to be in this sector, and return on fixed interest. So, and I feel like that's like the investment vehicle a lot of people are conversant with, where you put money in a bank, fixed deposit, or one of the finance houses, and every month or annually or quarterly, you get certain percentage return. Okay, I'm good. So when you invest in this kind of opportunity, there are a few projects you can fund. 500 million, and MRI now is about 1.5 billion. So if you want to fund the purchase of an MRI, why not? We already have a ready market to receive that investment. So annually, and the interesting thing is that it's compound interest. So offer compound interest. So on the second year, you are going to return on the remaining part of your fund. And I'm going to cite an example. I'm going to pick a project. We have an investment calculator on our website. And so that makes it very easy for you. If you want to use this type of investment, any amount you want to invest, you just put it there, and the investment calculator shows you what your returns looks like. Once you want to invest, we actually pay investors. Don't forget, I told you we offer an end-to-end solution, what you have not seen or you cannot imagine. So out of the 119 million, you can say, but I have 50 million to invest, and I don't want to invest in this, I want to invest in that. That's very fine. We pay investors. So when we pay investors, we still manage the investments as a unit. And everybody returns, of course, to the percentage fund they provided. So, so how the business model works, we identify, this mostly works for private hospitals, right? So we identify private hospitals that have need or have a funding gap. So when we identify private hospitals, remember I told you it's an end-to-end business solution. So after, of course, they will go through some due diligence. This is a huge way we mitigate risk. It's not everybody that knocks on our door that we invest in their business. We have to put your business through a due diligence process. And we are sure that you have the capacity to return on investment. I mean, we are checking everything. How prudent have you been with the past credit you received from even commercial bank? What have you done with what you already have? That tells us what you can do in the future. And of course, calculate our risk matrix and all that. So if a hospital goes through our due diligence process and the hospital qualifies, the next step is to throw the opportunity open to investors like you and to other people that are not able to be here today and pay back. When they redirect funds to something else, and don't forget, these funds are like assets. You need to put them to work to be able to use them to make money. Visit the clinic, you can go there and see what is happening. You can even have some interaction with them. And if you have a reservation, or if you think that these people are unable to return on your investment, why not? So it's not like a cult where you don't know what your money is. 40 million. Annual contribution, you can use 0. Annual contribution means at the end of the year, you want to increase your investment. So let's just imagine you want to put in 40 million for 2 years. So in 2 years, you're going to be returning, oh, I wish this investment was even in Naira, in dollars, not in Naira. So that'd be really interesting. So in 2 years, you're going to be returning about 53 million. Return on investment, very simple formula, your total earnings minus your investment over your investment times 100 over 1. So let me go through this to share the financial projections, but I can explain, right? So there are more long-term investments that last about 4 years, and I really want to explain how it works. I really want everybody to follow me because it's something you probably don't know about or you haven't heard about, but very interesting. So in 4 years, you're going to return 134% on your investment. And each time I talk to people about it, they're like, which miracle do you intend to perform?
Very encouraging, I'm thrilled, to know that you dug in deep into this very vital sector. I just have 2 questions. The funding, do you have a gestation period? Is there like a time, that you allow for the hospital itself, to stabilize before the payment of the fund? That's one question. The second one is, since you give end-to-end support, and then I can see that you have a kind of spread, in terms of the number of projects you completed. Do you have enough capacity in terms of human resources to support each of these investments, or investors, that you're actually nurturing? Thank you.
And usually, remember I spoke about mitigating risk. So sometimes before we invest in a particular service in a hospital, we need to be sure you already have a ready market waiting. Take, for example, you don't have dialysis services, but you have had good number of kidney disease patients who you now have to refer to another clinic to get those services before they come to you. So that's better for us. We give preference to those type of hospitals. They already have a ready market to uptake this. That means there is demand, but the challenge is supply. So we avoid going to places where we are trying to create demand. So once you already have demand, the challenge is supply. And that is probably the reason why you have been trying to get bank funding. That means you have identified a huge opportunity and you're trying to fund this opportunity. So yes, it means you have a ready market. And it also tells us that the moment we commission this, like the first, we commissioned our Port Harcourt project last week, Saturday. And the first day we commissioned, they had already started taking patients. So we dialyzed some patients before we left. So there's a ready market. So we know that the equipment are being put to use like as soon as possible. So yes, we give them some grace to breed. And so people say, you know what, no problem, I can start paying tomorrow. And interestingly, some of these hospitals even have the part of the money ready. They probably don't have the complete amount. So they already have like a capital ready. They can start paying back investment from, pending when they get into business. Yes. So ready market. And a huge part of what we do too, we also do projections before we even offer you this particular support. Like there's another opportunity I would be talking about very shortly. That's an opportunity in a public hospital, and it's called public-private partnership. So in that case, the hospital leaves everything, the management, to us. We manage and we return on investment. And so you see how that works. So we're going to do our projections. We need to be sure that you actually, because the investors are not giving out this money for free. We are saving lives, but it's not charity. They still want to return on investment, and that is a huge part of what we do to ensure you are returning. So yes, do we have capacity? Oh yes, we have capacity. We have capacity to maintain the equipment as well. We have a technical team, so it's an end-to-end solution. If our equipment break down, we have our own people that repair. We don't go around trying to check for people to repair. Thereby, because if the machines are down, it's a downtime for the business. So yes, we have technical. The installations, the support, everything is done in-house. Of course, beyond in-house, we also have contract people that we work with. So yeah, sessions per day. So when we have 6 machines, it means that in every day, we're going to carry out 12 sections, and at the end of the year, the investment is going to be returning about 158 million. Now, don't forget that this dialysis unit is inside a public hospital. Your operating expenses crashes to a huge extent. So you only need to worry about consumables for the patient. So at the end of the first year, you are going to return about 56 million. By the end of the second year, you're going to make about 76 million. By the third year, 83 million. And by the fourth year, 85 million. So when you calculate everything you earn in 4 years, and this is profits after, this profit is after EBITDA, after deducting your tax, interest, depreciation, and amortization. So that's what you earn in 4 years. So a huge part of the operating cost still goes back to the public hospital, because they are more interested in who will put these machines and make this clinic work. Because public hospitals usually struggle with being able to manage their facilities. So once private investors come in, you're able to manage the facility, and at the end of the month or the end of the year, you return 20% of your earning back to them. They are very okay with it. They just want to be sure that the dialysis unit is up and running. People are coming in, they are getting the treatment and the dialysis they need. They are getting the treatment, and at the end of the month, you are remitting investment to them. Because if the clinic is down, it doesn't make any money for them. And make it work, you keep all the profit, almost all the profit to yourself, and for about 4 to 5 years. And at the end of the day, of course, you hand over the asset to them. And sometimes I've been involved in a PPP where at the exit period, the hospital says, no, please continue. Because a lot of public hospitals are poorly managed. The moment you leave that facility for them, by the time you come back after 1 year, you're going to see something entirely different. And so don't forget, a huge part of the OPEX still goes to the hospital. They already have a ready power. And the huge OPEX in hospital project is usually power. And of course, paying the staff. Have a private practice when you need to pay your clinical staff out from your pocket. So that's a huge part of how the investment vehicle works. So first year, this is what you return. Second year, this is what you return. So don't forget, you invested 128 million. And by the end of fourth year, this is what you are making. And these are all your earnings after deductions from both your tax, of course, no tax, from depreciation, amortization. And the guarantee you have on this is because we are the ones managing the equipment, all through the 4 years, we are going to still be the ones servicing the equipment to make sure that the equipment is returning on investment. So I want to compare with your regular investment in stocks and bonds, okay? So let's say Mr. Gold decides to invest 128 million on fixed deposits. Don't forget, this money is fixed, right? Every year, because you have to reinvest after 1 year. Government, they will not allow you to keep this money there for 4 years, the same amount. The following year, you reinvest the same amount. So you keep reinvesting the money. And you are earning, of course, this interest, it goes up a little bit more. Now, You invest in setting up a dialysis center. Now, see what people don't understand about investment. At the first year, when you invest in, so this is what you are earning from a fixed deposit. Your earning is just going up a bit. Now, this is the interesting thing. When you invest in a project like this, your earning keeps going up every year. Because the same money, the first year will not pay you profit. Of course, it's very difficult for any business to return first year. Because of what? You are trying to break even. Third and fourth year is entirely yours to keep and to go home. Unlike a fixed deposit, the moment you make your money from this, you take your money, you can take your money back, and then it just keeps going. So for the next 2 years after you break even, you are still going to keep earning on that investment. So social impact, I think we have spoken a lot about that. And so I would like us to ask questions. I know everybody in this room has questions, so please ask me questions. I'm here to answer your questions.
Your return on investment calculation is done from once you invest or once the project is commissioned?
Well, even if it's once you invest, it's still the same thing. So even if the project is commissioned after 3 years, you are not losing tax return. So yes, after the project is commissioned, but it's still going to be.
You are waiting for the returns to start coming. Okay, perfect. So to set up a dialysis center, the lead time is about 1 month. Yes. It can even be less, but usually we don't want to overpromise. But on the average, 4 weeks. And that dialysis machine is something that makes money every day. So we need to be sure it works every day. One machine will work twice a day. So if there's no power, it means that you have lost 2 dialysis sections. So yes, we have our own backup power. It is part of the initial cost.
Hospitals. And most private hospitals are run by or managed and owned by a family or an individual. Where the key man is of if the owner also asks what happens to the equipment. And this equipment are not equipment because of short or people just collect it. How the life of that transaction continues. For the public partnership, there's an agreement, is well written. It doesn't matter if they change the CLD or they change someone, the person will not come and no, I don't like this agreement, we need to work on it. It's a part of the list. We also see that. You spoke about maintenance. So the investor does have a say on the type of equipment that is being bought to manufacturer because some of them do not have equipment, especially when they come from places like India, China, and you don't get the proper one. Yes, you work after some time, you not start. So it's like investor will have a fair idea of where it's coming from, if it's coming from no means, or it's just an equipment that we just go on. That's that. And kind of other question I want to ask.
You correctly. You're asking, what if, in the case of a private hospital, the doctor passes, what happens? Then in the case of a public hospital, what if there's change in governance? And then do you have a say in the type of equipment? Okay, perfect. So, of course, this is a huge part of the risk mitigation strategy that we have. Now, these assets remain destitute property until you have finished paying out your part of the investment. So in as much as we have deployed it to the private hospital and it has started working, it is not their property until they pay to the last. That is when there is asset transfer. So when they pay out, when they have paid the 53 million the investor is supposed to return, we do an asset transfer document, it becomes theirs. Peradventure, the owner of the hospital dies, the asset is still a destitute asset. 2 things. Don't forget, before we are a health financing company, we are a medical equipment and a project management company. Take, for example, I have shown you 2 projects now from 2 different hospitals that are waiting for us to bring in this equipment and commission them for them to start working. So if the doctor dies and he didn't finish paying out, we're going to redirect the asset. We're going to decommission it to another location. And it still starts returning. Because this equipment, think of it as what makes money on a daily basis. So it's not about the location. If it's not working in this hospital, there's a next hospital to take it off. There are also situations where we sell off. Because all these equipment are still equipment that we sell. It's not in all situations where hospitals that do business with us, we are raising funds for them. Some hospitals buy equipment from us outrightly because we have partnerships with OEMs and we supply all these equipment. So in that case, we are going to liquidate the asset and return back to the investor. The investor's money is not going to put away. So it's not like a situation where something happens to the doctor and the person's investment goes. No. It's just a situation where if something happens, we redirect the investment or we liquidate the investment. So the investment is a physical asset. It's not like an intangible asset that dies with the owner of the hospital. I'm concerned about what happens in that period. Okay, so the way the agreement works, agreement we have with the hospital is also with us. So in that case, of course, we have our security deposit. We are going to pay you from our security deposit until when we commission your hospital. And it's not a loss for us, because the moment we commission the equipment to another place, it still keeps bringing the returns. So yes, we are going to have with them. That's the conversation we have when a new CMD comes in. So we are sure we are working with the person in governance. So yes, and based on our criteria, we pick the ones that have good potential to return on investment. And all we can recommend, and you go and make your research.
I can see you do health asset management, health financing, project management. Can you please tell me the licenses you have? So I'm asking because we all know how very important this is, and as investors, you don't get to, you're more secured when you can.
That are certified. Take, for example, we have a lawyer who is even here. So he handles all the legal agreements and the legal aspects of the business. So all the licenses are in check. Now, we have, if you are coming in at the health check, the person that actually did that is a consultant radiographer in a hospital. So when we need to present our certifications on what certifications do you have to handle a radiology department, his certification comes handy. So it's a whole team. And a lot of our team are not in Lagos, right? We're mobile. Don't forget, our business is not only in Lagos. Our business is in different states. So if we have any need to deploy any of our consultants, of course, you're going to see them. And if you want us to provide them, their licenses, why not? So me, I also have my own license as an economist, a development economist, right? Health economist. I also have my own healthcare project management licenses. So, but beyond that scope, if we need to set up a radiology clinic, we cannot do that without the license of a radiographer. So we have a consultant radiographer on our team, and his license comes handy in that situation. So yes, and even as a business, by God's grace, by next year, we're going to get our ISO 9001 certification. Yes. It's already a plan that is in progress.
This investment, I'm not here when you started it. This investment, how much is the minimum and how much is the maximum? And again, the competitors on this investment, I don't know if you have competitors. This thing, I'm just reading the stuff. There are 3 million people in Nigeria in dialysis or something. But the point is, the Nigeria trust their own people, because I stay in Texas. I saw a lot of people coming from Nigeria to the United States in order to get this kind of help. So I don't know if Nigeria trusts this process. I think this is the question I have for now.
All right, thank you very much.
I think you've done an amazing job being able to project the aims, objectives, the functions of what the institute is doing. And I think it's amazing because we see a lot of investment ongoing where just that you put the money there. There's not much control from the investment company. But here we can see a situation where there's a lot of monitoring ongoing, a lot of checks, and the fact that the equipment is still, owned by the investment company. It doesn't happen in many areas and situations. Because when you talk about risk management, which is my own field, you need to be concerned about all those stages, from the situation of buying, getting the funds, ensuring that the returns come in at the appropriate time. So looking at the fact that you have a team involved that can actually manage the situation, because getting those funds back is not something that is actually easy, especially when you don't have that control. But I see that a lot of research has already been done by Restitute. The experience is there. So the control and ensuring that the team continues to manage the situation end-to-end control is really, really good. So I think that is that. The only thing I can say is that if you are managing the situation, is it that the team is always on ground all the time, because if you want to check what's going on, you need to see what is actually happening. So the team is kind of to manage to know, is it just getting the information directly from the company, or you actually have the team that would be maybe physically present? How many times do they do their checks to check to see that everything is actually going very, very well? I think that's just the point of that.
Now, before it gets to a point where it's a problem, we have already seen a red flag. That's a huge part of what we do. So before these issues come up, before we even have a case, I remember Mr. Chooks asked a question about what if something happens? What happens to the downtime? A huge part of what we do is we want to foresee this downtime, and ahead of time, we are prepared for it. Take, for example, if our credit managers or our agents in different states, if they already identify that this particular hospital, there's a red flag, we won't even wait for the investment to default. We are probably already making arrangements for the next location to commission this equipment. So we are trying to avoid that downtime. So yes, for each place, like in Port Harcourt, we have an agent in Port Harcourt. The person makes visits. And that is why you, as an investor, you pay an asset management fee. That is part of the reason why you are paying an asset management fee. That fee is the fee you are paying to us to be your watchdog. So yes, we have agents and they are going to do that job. That's why you are paying that 3%, 2%, 1% asset management fee. And this is what our agents do ahead of time. Pick it up to set up this project. So as much as you can invest alone, because you are only going to return to the percentage of your investment. So yes, but our threshold used to be 10 million, but I think after this meeting it's going to go up. But for now, that's the threshold. Yes, the next person you're sitting with might not even know they have kidney disease if you don't check. So kidney disease is asymptomatic. That means you don't know you have it until you are told you have it. So do we have confidence? Oh yes, there are over 2,000 dialysis centers. Some are functional, some have stopped functioning. But yes, before you think of traveling abroad, you have to do dialysis first to stay alive. If you're here when I explain how it works. So people with chronic kidney disease, you must do dialysis minimum 2 times a week to stay alive, because their body cannot clean toxins. So we have a good healthcare system, and that is what we are working towards, quality healthcare. We want to reverse medical tourism. We don't want a situation where people are traveling to the US. Why? It's just because of the lack of the availability of those medical equipment. Isn't that the whole idea of having this conversation around the funding? So we are sure that those equipments are available. It's not a manpower defect issue. We have very good consultants all over the country. It's mostly a medical infrastructure defect. And that is the whole idea of Vestitude. We want to invest 10 million, we have to pair you with someone else that has 10 million and pair you with another person. The minimum investment is 40 million. But of course, if you don't have... Okay, so go back to the ROI calculator. So if you go to our website, we have an investment calculator on the website. So even if we're not having this conversation, any amount you want to invest, you just calculate it. Now, before you came in, I explained two things. I don't know how to, I'll probably just roughly go back to it. Now, there are two ways you can return on your investment. You can have what we call a fixed interest rate. I don't know if, don't worry, I'm going to come, don't allow this distract you. I'm going to come back to it. So there are two ways you can return on your investment, right? Now, you can have a fixed interest rate, a fixed amount of money that comes to you every month for 2 years, right? So if your interest rate is 20%, it means that you get 20% of your investment per annum, and it's compound interest. Compound interest simply means any money there that is still remaining in the second year, you are getting interest on the remaining amount, in addition to the original interest you already have. And that is the reason why when you're investing in a bank in fixed deposits, they tell you to take your money after 1 year. Why? They don't want you to accumulate compound interest. So when you take your money, you can reinvest the second year. But when you invest it for 2 years, you are going to get compound interest on the second year. Now, let me come to your question. Click on 40. Perfect. So you invest 40 million, and at the end of 2 years, you are paid back 53 million. 53,824,000. Now, I want to explain something to you. Go to compound interest and put 0. Don't put 100, put 0. Just type 0. Submit. Good. Now, most finance houses, right, they don't offer you compound interest. Now, without compound interest, what you are going to earn is 53 million after 2 years. But because it's compound interest, you are going to earn extra 824,000 naira, extra interest on your initial investment. So if you invest 40 million, at the end of 2 years, you are getting extra 13,824,000. Now, this money, you can say at the end of 2 years, I want it back. Or you can say, no, split it and be paying me back every month, or every quarter, which is 3 months interval, or every 6 months, or every year. You decide how you want to return on your investment. So it's not, nobody says if you invest this money, you must wait for 2 years to get your 53 million. You can get it monthly to the end of this amount, and you earn 100% on what you invested, but it's going to last for 4 years. Now, in that case, the investment belongs to you. Nobody is paying you back. We are managing the business, and we are giving you the profit from the business. When you invest this way, they are just paying you back a fixed amount. It means every month the hospital makes more, they keep it for themselves. You are not part of it. But if you want to return from that model, that means if you invest 40 million, at the end of your 4 years, you'll be getting about 80 million. Because nobody is paying you returns. You are earning the profit directly from that business. And I need you to know that the interesting thing about dialysis is if you get one patient, the person is your patient for life. Unlike malaria and typhoid, open a hospital without being a doctor, or fund a hospital project without being a doctor. End of the first year, this is 56 million. Now, this is more like projections. Don't forget that we have a lot of strategies we can use to cut down. People try to avoid setting up full hospitals. They rather set up diagnostic centers. Why? Because these are outpatient clinics. It means that you don't have extra liability of managing patients on admission, when someone dies, or when there are emergencies. Outpatient clinics means you resume 6, you shut down 6, and you go home. So diagnostic centers, dialysis centers are all called outpatient clinics, and they make good returns on investment.
You have reports on these various sub-sectors?
Yes. If you want, I can send you reports.
Okay.
Clinic. You will go and see the hospital. You have interactions with them. I'm coming. You will appreciate what is going on. So it's not like MMM where you don't know what is going on with your money. You know where your money is coming from. Now, the security is with Vestitude as a company, not with me as an individual. And I don't own the company alone. I have a board of directors. One of the questions somebody asked here was, what if the hospital cannot pay back? We have what we call a security deposit. We are going to get your money. And the process is signed on paper. You said litigation, you can't trust litigation. Well, if you were here, we have shared a track record of over 120 hospitals we have done business with in 6 countries, not just in Nigeria, in Ghana, in Malawi. We can give you references. So is your money safe? Your money is 110% safe. With Vestitude as a company, not just with me. Of course, a huge part of what we are doing today is the track record of what I have done in healthcare.
So congratulations. Then I saw for your PPP, you said 4 years tenure. Is it possible is there an opportunity for a longer tenure in case somebody wants to do more than 4 years in university? Then I don't know how this question will sound, the camera, I know you have it. So, but as a company, you might want to invest in form of CSR. And CSR projects, I believe you have some tax leads with CSR projects. You might have to have a separate discussion because Vestitude is also returning on this investment. And if I'm saying I'm doing a CSR, where is I can't be doing CSR and you're telling me you're paying interest. So it's a conversation we'll seek to. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. So then the third one is your nephrologists, the people you were speaking about. You said that for the PPP, they'll be managed by the company's staff you're using, right?
So every week, their patients talk to them. So they are being paid. All clinical staff come from, don't forget, it's a hospital already. It's even a teaching hospital. So they have all form of clinical staff.
So who are people
Equipment operators. Okay, so the equipment operator is called a dialysis technician, which the hospital already have. If they don't have, we provide. But the administrative and the management staff are Vestitude staff. They are Vestitude employees, but their office is inside that hospital. They are the ones that manage the finance, the customer service, every administrative duty.
I have trust issues with all the management I want to be sure that this group is going to ask people on ground that will be sure that
If you are specific on, of course, a huge part of it, you even have to be specific on the type of investment you want. Because the way you earn from a public hospital is not the way you earn from a private hospital. So if you are bringing 100 million, the first thing is that we are even clear on one front which type of investment you are going into. So yes, you get to choose what you want to invest in. And if you don't have, remember, if in a situation where we have a project and you don't have the complete money, we now need to pair you with another investor. So there might be a little waiting time of trying to find someone that would bring the other part of the investment. When it's complete, we kick off with the project. Okay, the CSR, oh yes, if it's done as a CSR, there is tax reduction from the government. Because of course, we want to encourage CSR. And even as a company, we also write to hospitals to inform them CSR is not only about cleaning streets. CSR can be funding equipment acquisition. I remember some with Access Bank, they literally bought ultrasounds and donated them to public hospitals. There was a time for I think over 11 years, MTN was setting up dialysis centers and giving to public hospitals. So yes, we are encouraging hugely healthcare CSR. Because it's better to buy a dialysis center that will save life than to clean streets. Not like cleaning streets is not a good CSR initiative, but there are more sustainable projects we can go into, and healthcare comes top at the chart.
name is Professor Eric Esomeme. I'm a professor of law. I think I was, really convinced to some large extent by the presentation because, the facts presented were very comprehensive. It wasn't even just words. It was also backed to the number of evidence of many years of experience. And, one key factor that actually moved me was the risk mitigation strategies. If you are going into any business, I'm a risk mitigation expert in addition to being a lawyer and a professor. So it's very important for any business to have those strategies in place. And from what I was able to get from here, you could see that there's a lot of monitoring mechanisms in place from the initial phase of the project to the phase when it actually ends or the life cycle. So there's a lot of control from Vestitude themselves from what they are doing. So I got to realize that there's so much checks put in place to ensure that it becomes successful and that the risk involved in maybe funds being diverted to other areas that shouldn't be mitigated, like see the fact that the Vestitude staff are actually directly involved in ensuring that those funds are in check. The equipment are being maintained, whether it's in the dialysis center, medical investments. You see that the funds are probably being invested, being checked that it's not being diverted to another place. So there seems to be a lot of those mechanisms in place, and it's very rare to see that when you put in those funds, the project management mechanisms is actually still very comprehensive, and that I think gives a lot of investors, that kind of confidence that they can really put their money there.
My name is Ginika Okoro. I work in HR. I honestly, first of all, have to say it's a laudable initiative to consider the health sector. Usually you see things like real estate, you see things like, property, oil, investment in different sectors. But this is the first time I'm actually seeing an end-to-end plan for people to come into the health sector, not just to develop it for the public, but also to gain something in return. So it's like a two-way thing. So I think it's very laudable. The conversations we have were very rich. The questions were rich, and I would not say it's something that is easy to come in because there's a lot of money, but they've given us all the resources to be able to go think about it and commit. So I think it's she was able to answer the questions very well, and it gave some confidence. Oh yeah, the return on investment, you mean? It is quite, that's one of the things I said is it's very, what do you call it, juicy. So it's worth taking back to think about. They've given us the resources to think through. They've also given us the calculator, if you're in doubt, to work with. So I think it's going back, thinking through how much can you commit to, how long can you commit for, But I think they answered the questions that were at the back of people's minds, transparently. And that's what we want in these kinds of things.